This is the browser fingerprinting presentation by Ishmeet Singh and David White, who's my teammate and who assisted me in all the project throughout the course. Next slide. So the recap of proposal, which is how we started off this research, was researching about device fingerprinting. And device fingerprinting is a process used to identify a device or browser through plugins and operating systems. But we decided to move on from it in the future because device fingerprinting is a huge field and there's a lot of other microfields that are in it that we did not want to explore yet because we are on time constraint. And the initial software requirements, such as code in JavaScript, Linux, Windows-based Mac devices, and network traffic logger, these were all the requirements we ended up using. And same goes for the hardware. We ended up using server to host client data, and that data is very important in browser fingerprinting. We had our own devices, our computers, and internet for sure. So what is browser fingerprinting? Fingerprinting is a microfield under device fingerprinting. It is used for tracking by websites to gain information about the user. A lot of modern websites use some form of script that how they're built, and uh, browser fingerprinting is injected into these websites through these scripts such as JavaScript or HTML code, stuff like that. And these are different than cookies because cookies can be turned off and or you can disable them, and once ever you go visit a web page you see cookies are enabled or they ask you to enable the cookies for the web page to make your experience better. But browser fingerprinting tracks data such as operating system, versions of the browsers, IP addresses, and even the location of the device, and provides a unique device ID to your device. So our initial research started with just fingerprinting in mind, but after doing our proposal and getting feedback from um, Professor Chang or Dr. Chang, we decided to move on to browser fingerprinting because we were only aware of data like operating system and IP address. We had no idea about how it makes a unique ID and geolocation of your device as well.
After our initial project proposal that we did in class, we talked with Dr. Chain and we decided to shift our focus to browser fingerprinting and how it is used for the purpose of information gathering and how to defend against it and prevent others from getting your information. So for the setup of our hands-on, we started with our JavaScript file, and when we put this in, it causes us to get a console output of our unique device identifier. We used many resources for accomplishing this hands-on demonstration. Our primary web service was set up with Ruby on Rails, along with some JavaScript and some HTML. After running into errors, we switched over to Fingerprint.js, which is an open source server-based API that allows you to log users. It's very nice because of the fact that it's free for 2 weeks. However, it's also got some extra security features that large-scale companies can use, such as bot filtering, as well as overuse of traffic from a single client. Fire. As for the server side, this is the server side right here. We can see our information from our user, where they are, state, what website they specifically were on. There's even some kind of personal stuff like latitude and longitude on here, and which we were not expecting to find in the first place. And we can even track all the different times they logged in under that device. We started off with our own JavaScript, trying to log that on our own server by hosting two websites, but it didn't really work. So we referenced some code from an open source and were able to get that to work. We also did some interesting testing using VPNs and disabling cookies. Um, our big achievements for this project is that we figured out that we could use an ad block disabling tracker to completely shut down our particular method of tracking, and it's effective against most of the trackers as well. The only ones it's not effective are the ones that are rooted in the application of the website. Um, we did check VPNs and we realized that the VPN, while it does change your location and it shows as a different location, the actual device ID is the same, so it still knows it's you, which we thought was very interesting.
For the deliverables of this project, we delivered a video that supports our research and shows the whole demo of how the whole process went through, and a hands-on video is there, and we linked it. And there's going to be a project report that supports our path leading to the research, meaning how all the changes occurred, what kind of codes we tried to test it, and what worked and what didn't work. So for the future or future research, if we want to continue researching more, we would like to implement a Tor browser and see if it benefits fingerprinting, or is there any drawbacks, or does it have any defense against it built in it. And also we want to try different systems, just like Ubuntu, Linux, Mac. We did Mac and Windows, but we definitely want to try other virtual machines and see if virtual machines can mask that ID number or the geolocations. In conclusion, browser fingerprinting is being used more day by day by attackers for information gathering, and they can do anything with this information. There's so many less defensive techniques that work against it, as we saw it in our research. Even the ones listed online that it prevents it, it does not work. So this field should be explored more so that more defensive techniques can be innovated and users' data should be protected at all costs.